Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sanderlanche podcast. Today, we are talking about Shadows of Self, chapters 15, 16, and 17, wherein Wax finds a cab driver and shit's weird. Melan reveals herself to our friend Aradel, and shit's weird. And we get Wax talks to Bleeder. There's another attack on the governor, and then Wax talks to his uncle, which, I don't know, that certainly gave us some information, I guess. So I'm Data, and with me is...
Jamie.
Jack.
And Joe.
So hang on to something, everybody. The Sanderlanche is about to begin.
Does anyone really know the mind of the bat? Wherever you're going, whatever you do, a man in the dark keeping watch over you. So poison the ivy with your crocodile tears. We're climbing the vines to the heart of your fears. Can you tell me, has something changed? The rewards are zero, cause I ain't no hero. Do you know it when you go strange? Is your taunting true? Am I as crazy as you? Check my head, I guess the joke's on me.
So yeah, 3 more chapters down, and there's kind of a lot of talking in these again, but some action also. So what did you guys think of these 3 chapters?
Yeah, it's good. I feel like we're just waiting for the big things to happen. Like I really enjoyed the stuff that went down with Bleeder this time and kind of that chase through and watching how Wayne and Wax got to use Wayne's speed bubble against her speed ability as well, which was a lot of fun. Melan, I really like her. She's a bit of fun. Not what you expect out of Cassandra from what we know of Cassandra of old, but she was already part of, I guess, that rebellious kind of crew anyway. So I just think she's heaps of fun. When she was talking to Aradel and putting on all her divinity for display, I was like, what is this? Like, how is Marasai keeping a straight face with all of that that's going on? But I really liked her as well. Yeah, the stuff that went down with the governor, I'm not sure if it was this week's chapters or last week's chapters. Sorry, I missed last week, guys. We had a sick bubba, so she's much better now, which is good. Probably still noisy, so I do apologize if she makes a hell of a lot of noise. Having those characters all together, in the pub as well, I think it was probably from last week, and sort of watching how they are all kind of riffing off each other and their dynamic coming together is a lot of fun. Didn't see the meeting with Edwin happening to the point where I was like, did I miss something? Did we know that Wax was trying to communicate with him?
I think there's a mention, like maybe very briefly, that he's expecting something or he's going to talk to somebody, but we definitely didn't know that that's who it was going to be for sure.
Yeah, okay. So, I'm interested to see where that's going to go now and seeing if the set are involved. A Bleeder is just crazy. Just really, terrifying. And the poor coach driver as well. Gosh, I feel for him. That would have just been horrifying if you look back in your coach and seen what had unfolded there. Oh, not good. Not good. But I feel like we're definitely heating up. We should be getting to that point in the book now where it's all going to move pretty rapidly. And I think given what we've read sort of happened over the span of, an hour or two, there's a lot going down in different settings at the moment. So a bit of fun.
Yeah, that the cab driver or whatever, he really had a bad experience. To the point where he's like, "It was me, wasn't it? I killed those people," and it's like,
yeah,
no, dude, it's okay, calm down.
Because I'd sort of forgotten that they could approximate someone, like they could try without their bones. They could make them look like someone else, but it would be a bit weird. Like it wouldn't work as effectively. But yeah, to look at someone and then go, well, now I'm going to mess with you and just become sort of a disfigured version of you to do my crime. Oh, that's not okay. No wonder he's sitting in a soothing parlor trying to
right.
make himself forget. Which is not how that works, but Yeah, gosh, that poor guy. He's gonna need therapy for a really long time.
Yeah, these chapters were mostly pretty good. There were a few there were some bits I thought this was really cool, and other bits I'm like, oh, okay, no worries. So like the things I liked, yes, Melan is quickly rising up to MVP of this book. The conversation with Aradel was just hysterical. I love. It's the sort of things like I feel like I've seen this kind of conversation before, but it was done so well. I was just having a joyous time the whole way through. Especially it's like, yeah, you snore too loud, and he goes, oh, this must mean this or symbolize this. I'm gonna go fix this about it. And like talking to her later, is like, no, legitimately, he just fucking snores really loud. Like, yep, that was brilliant. Yeah, the bit with the cab driver, it's kind of like Collateral if Tom Cruise could turn into Jamie Foxx just to fuck with Jamie Foxx. So that was messed up. And the fight with Bleeder.
See that parallel.
I should watch that movie again. Yeah, the fight with Bleeder was really, really cool. I thought the lead up to it was just a bit. Did Wax really just walk up to a random building and she was in there? I mean, yeah, it's like she's nearby because she's talking to him and he's using his detective skills, but I thought it was a bit of a reach. It's just like there you are. I'm like, oh, okay. That was kind of, I don't know, something about that didn't sit with me for some reason. I'm not really sure why. And I thought the conversation with Uncle Edwan was kind of anticlimactic. It's kind of just yeah, look, we're not doing any part of this, but we're definitely going to capitalize on it, which I think we called a little while ago, but it's still just kind of like, yeah, it's just like, okay, great. Do we actually get any other information out of that aside from that little tidbit? Now I just have to think, all right, there's got to be more to their involvement because it just seems like such a waste to have that be Edwan's only scene in this book. Like, there's got to be something else that he does as a result of all this. But, well, I guess we'll have to wait and see on that one. I have no idea what it could be yet. But, yeah, some bits really, really good. Other bits I'm just like, eh.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it does. I can kind of agree that if that it would seem kind of anticlimactic that we've been like, oh, how's the set gonna be involved? They were the big bad guy in the last book, so they got to be secretly pulling some strings here. And if it was just like, nah, not really.
I don't know. Like, I wouldn't actually have a problem if that were the case. But now that Edwan has shown up and confirmed it halfway through the book, like before the climax, and that we've had that little reveal, makes you think, oh, okay. And maybe it's just the casualness. It's like, yeah, I got a message to my uncle. He's waiting outside. I'm like, really? You had to like fucking decipher the train numbers in the last book just to find the guy, and now you have a method with which you can communicate with him. Like, I get why, like, they justified it with the notebook that he stole from and everything, but I'm just like, that just seemed too easy.
I don't know. I really kind of like the explanation of the drop box or the mailbox or whatever, where it's like he was watching it for a long time, and then eventually he finds a note in there. It's like, hey, you should try something else.
That was funny. Yes. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't too easy. Maybe it's just how sudden it came up. Because if it was foreshadowed earlier in the book, I did not pick up on it at all. So it just seemed very sudden to me, and maybe that's what's bothering me. I don't know.
Sure.
And people feel free to disagree with me on this. Like, this is, yeah.
These chapters were good. I mean, I think I liked pretty much all of it except for with Dak, the Edward part. I was kind of like, this doesn't really feel like it fits too well with what we've been led to believe so far. Although, I do get that trope, the kind of like, you've got this bad guy who's working behind the scenes and you're now on a completely different case that you think he may be involved in. So you have a face to face with your nemesis just to be like, hey, you want to like work together on this if you're not involved? And then they're like, nah, we're just gonna let you deal with it. Like, I totally get that trope. It's something that exists, but it does seem kind of abrupt. I feel like, as Dax says, it's kind of like, okay, so he's been communicating with his uncle, which would be cool if we had kind of been in on it. But because we're not in on it until he sets up the meeting, it kind of seems like lazy writing to me. It's like, well, I need Wax to meet up with his uncle, but I didn't really write that he could have had a way to communicate with his uncle, so I'll just put it in right here in the same chapter where he does it. It just seemed kind of a weird choice to me. But other than that, I'm being nitpicky, honestly, because I liked all three of the chapters for the most part, except for that point. I really enjoy each and every moment except for that moment in this. There's something to like about everything that happens. I feel like the secret Kandra bad guy is a lot creepier and kind of. It's almost like we're reading like a thriller horror, because it's this creepy Kandra creature that can disguise itself going around killing people, and then you get this like poor coachman that sees a weird disfigured version of himself in the back seat, and then it kind of drives him crazy a little bit. So it's just kind of it's really kind of a depart from the kind of stuff we've read from Brandon in the past, as far as this specific aspect of the story with the Kandra. So I'm actually really enjoying it. I like, like mystery stuff, and to add this kind of low, not low stakes, but low, because it's not super horror, but it's like to add this kind of thrilling low horror aspect to it. It's pretty fun to read, so I'm really enjoying it. I love the trick with Wayne being hidden in the governor's mansion. That was really cool. Which, I mean, that's what we expect from these guys at this point. They know what they're doing. They know how to do their job. But it was just another fun moment of Wax and Wayne working together in a way that their enemy didn't expect. So yeah, for the most part, I like the chapters a lot.
I like the way you described him consulting his uncle, because it reminds me of like Batman and the Joker in The Long Halloween or something, where it's like, yes, I'm going to go talk to my nemesis and see what information he can provide. And we're just...
Yeah. Well, and it's just like, I mean, you see that in a lot of fiction that has kind of, I guess, like Batman, where you have like a cacophony of villains to choose from. It's like sometimes the hero will go and consult this particular villain and see like if they have any insight, or even like Silence of the Lambs. It's like she goes to visit this guy who's, unknown. He's a psychologist, but he's also insane, like, because he can help her solve this case. So.
Yep. I guess, yeah. I mean, I didn't even think of, but yeah, Silence of the Lambs also kind of fits. Although his uncle's not, in prison or anything.
Not yet.
Oh, yeah, not yet. I think he's like, oh, you promised not to arrest me. How quaint. Okay, I guess let's get into these three Thrace chapters. We started with some interesting musing on Wax's part about how people will fucking charge money for anything they can get away with. Like, I'm surprised nobody's found a way to put a tax on collecting rainwater. Which, yeah, okay, that's true.
He's not wrong.
Yeah. And then he makes it to the soothing parlor, and he feels the soothing, and he's like, damn it, I should have brought my hat. My aluminum-lined hat. And so he is looking for this Chapu fellow, who we learned in the last set of chapters is like the cab driver, basically, who was scheduled to pick up who he assumes was Bleeder from the cheekiness of the name in the book. And I like the lady in charge is like, dude, if you think that like flashing a badge is going to get you in here for free, you must be new to the force, because that's not how this works. He's like, I'm looking for this guy. And so takes him upstairs and into this room where this guy has apparently paid a bunch of money for like one-on-one soothing, which, given what he's telling us, is not like a cheap service. And the soother's just like, dude, I've tried what I can, but this guy does not need Almancy. He needs a doctor. And the lady's like, get him out of here, please. He's disturbing my people. Because Chapu is quite disturbed. The soothing does not seem to be helping. And Wax tries to figure out if this is Bleeder by being like, hey, what's the name of your dog? And he's like, I don't have a dog. He died. And Wax is like, all right. And then we cut to Aradel, who apparently does not use his office a lot. So maybe that's why his wife can get away with hiding fucking bananas in there. Because he says it's a place for giving house lords somewhere to sit when they complain at me.
Makes sense.
Yeah. He's up on the roof, giving orders. He's like, get the men ready to clear out the pubs. We're going to close them down once I get permission to institute martial law.
This really does just seem like the Commissioner Gordon moment. He's waiting up on the roof for Batman to show up or something.
Yeah, it's true.
And instead he gets Elan, who I guess is, Martian Manhunter?
That's an interesting point. I don't know exactly who the comparison I would draw there.
I mean, super strong, shape-shifting.
Yeah, I know. I'll give it to you. And Marisai's like, well, here's the information I found. It definitely looks like it's one of those faceless immortals that did this thing, just like I told you. And he's like, okay, well, I'm still gonna want proof, but and she's like, well, yeah, I brought some proof. Probably best if we did that part alone, though. And so he has everyone else go downstairs, and he's like, I hope my questions aren't offensive, Your Grace. And she slips into this like, sincere inquiries never offend human, for it is thy duty to seek truth. True questions return only truth. Like, she's really laying it on thick with the thys and thee, and we shall aid thee in thy desperation. And he's like, great. I guess yeah, that's what I needed. Could you put in a good word for me with Harmony? I love that. Like, you got like an angel equivalent. And he's like, hey, can you like put in a good word for me with God? And she's like, thy deeds are thine own good words, human, and thy God knows of them. And then he's like, okay, can you tell me anything else? And she's like, thy snoring is rather loud. It doth be like unto 100 angry Kolos in the middle of a rock slide.
He's like, that's mighty white of you. Thanks.
Right. And then they go downstairs, and Arendelle's like, yeah, that was weird. And Marisha's like, I mean, I warned you, but... And he's like, I
decide she's just pissing herself.
Right, she seriously, like, after that last set of chapters, which, yeah, Jamie wasn't here to talk about, but we really all did love Melan, and just, she's so ridiculous and fun. And he's like, the snoring thing, a metaphor, I assume, but for what? Yeah, I mean, it must be the constables. We're too loud, like, metaphorically. We're supposed to be serving the people, but all the complaints about brutality. Yeah, no, I see. I gotta change stuff. Which, okay, he took something positive away from it. I mean, I'm not gonna complain about him wanting to cut down on police brutality. Like, okay.
Yeah, you shouldn't really need like the shape-shifting immortal to tell you that, but okay.
Yeah, exactly. And so Marisa is like, we'll let Wax handle the Khandra and we'll focus on the city. We get a bit where Arendelle's like, so you know what, Marisai, you could help me out here. That Ladrian fella, he does some good work, but he's kind of a wild card, and I'd really like more information on what he's doing. Which really, I mean, that Marisai at the end of this kind of like, oh man, is that really why they hired me? And I admit it does sound a little bit shitty to be like, I need you to kind of keep tabs on this guy for me. But she's like, I mean, technically he's under your jurisdiction. You could just ask him for reports. And he's like, I have tried that. And if I'm lucky, I get a letter saying where he's left a suspect hanging. If that. Most of the time, it's like at a party, and he's like, oh yeah, I'll tell you about it later. So at that point, I'm like, okay, no, I see why he would. Yeah, it's kind of fair to be like, I want some information.
He asked for shit.
And she's like, okay, I'll write you a weekly report, more frequent if there's an investigation. And he's like, okay, great, fantastic. And she's like, I'm gonna tell him that I'm doing it. And Arendelle is immediately like, no, that's terrific. Anything is better than what I'm getting now. So let's do this thing.
I think the fact that he's on board with her telling him is just all right. You're not a shitty dude. Like I've liked Arendelle so far, but there have been a couple things I'm like, yeah. I don't know how to read you at this point, but like the fact that he's like, yeah, I need you to spy on him. I'm gonna tell him I'm doing that. Okay, like okay, that goes a long way.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think for him, I think he seems like a straight shooter, Arendelle. So it's like if he's saying like, I just need information because he's not giving me any, that's exactly what he means. It's not, there's not like some ulterior motive where he's trying to build a case against Wax. It's like, no, I just need to know what's going on in my own Octon.
Right. Yeah, and it seems absolutely like fair. And like at first I'm like, okay, that seems kind of shitty. But then once you get the whole explanation, it's like, no, actually, he's being pretty reasonable.
Yeah, especially the bit where Wax says he's asking for resources. And it's like, yeah, okay, if the dude's taking your stuff, you need to know what he's doing with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you gotta answer to city people for that.
Exactly. He's having to prepare apologies for, broken city resources and all sorts of stuff. Like, people are going to complain, and it's much easier to go, oh, it's part of an operation. Like, they can actually work together quite well if Wax gives them a chance.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's like having someone that's like really good at their job but terrible at the admin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've known people like that.
I feel very targeted.
I've actually, speaking of Airedale, I kind of skipped over a little note where it's like his ancestor is a soldier who died as a martyr during the days of the Ascendant Warrior.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Do we know anything else about Aradel, or is this the hook that we're trying to go? Ooh.
I think this. I'm pretty sure this is new. We didn't have much information on him. So,
Okay.
and I don't think it's ever actually explained. But in case the similarity in the name did not tip anyone off, his ancestor is Goradel, if you remember Goradel.
Gardel had kids?
Ah.
Yeah, I guess he must have had kids before Marsh chopped him into tiny bits.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out. It's like, oh, who could his ancestor be? I'm trying to think. Well, who died that we know? I'm thinking Clubs, Doxon. No, they didn't have they didn't have family, or when they did, they became emperor. So
Right.
surely not. Gardel, I forgot about him.
Yeah, and I think Goradel was originally like a palace guard at the Lord Ruler's palace, and I think it was like, you came here to make money for your family. I understand, and so it's like, oh, so maybe he always had a family, and that's why he was like working for the Lord Ruler in the first place. Who knows?
Yeah, I guess it's one of those things like we never really saw much about him. So, and
Right.
I assume from the fact that you've told us it doesn't come up in the book itself. So,
Not that I recall. Maybe it does, and I'm just like spoiled it.
oh no. No,
Goradel's name is not in the book at all. So
yeah, that revelation will be so ruined by the fact that we know now. It's like, oh yeah, remember this guy who was a minor character from the first trilogy? Yeah, it's his ancestor. This will totally change your understanding of the books completely.
And so she gets back down and meets Maelon, who had made her own way down somehow. And Maelon's like, yeah, so that's how'd I do? She's like, seriously, we will aid thee in thy desperation. And Maelon's like, I can be divine when I need to be. I've had a long time to practice. And then there's the moment I love where Marisai's like, well, why don't you use that act around me? And Maelon's like, maybe this is the act. Maybe my duty as Harmony's servant is to show people what they need to see, whatever will bring them the most peace. And Marisai's like deeply disturbed by this for a second. And then Maelon's like, nah, I'm just messing with you, man.
Yeah, I'm just fucking with you. I'm not doing that. That'd be pretty sweet if I was, though, right?
And the snoring thing wasn't just like a joke. She's like, oh no, I had to investigate him when Harmony was first looking for Palm. I guess somebody thought that maybe he would have been a good candidate to be replaced. And it's like, nah, he snores like crazy.
Oh.
And then we cut back to Chapu, who is explaining what happened when he had his fair tonight that freaked him out so much. And so he's like, I was kind of freaked out by the fact that this guy came out of the church, hands like all red, and then I started hearing weird shit in there. He's like, I was bearing the demon spawn in my coach, a driver for Iron Eyes himself. What good would it do to run? It had my soul. Like, damn, okay.
This guy's having a problem.
Yeah. And then he's like, I know what you're thinking. I killed that priest, didn't I? The bloody hands are mine. Oh god. And Wax like, no, dude, chill. It was not you. It was just somebody messing with you, a charlatan, as he says. And apparently, the dude left some bones behind in the carriage. Or I guess
What the hell am I gonna do with this?
Bleeder is a female, so I guess it was not a dude, but yeah. And then Wax finds some weird glowy stuff. I was like, what's on the robes? He's like, this is weird. What's up with this? And he asks him where he drove the coach. And Chapu says Lestib Square. So Lestiborn's made it. There's a Lestib Square named after him, presumably. It whispered to me, Lawman, I will make you free. Left him some money, though, so that's good. And Chapu's gradually figuring out, it's like, so if I'm not crazy, that means that thing I saw was real. And Wax says yes. And he's like, I'd kind of rather be crazy. And Wax tells him the thing probably doesn't want you dead. And he says, probably? No way to tell for certain. But I bet money against it. At least it doesn't want you more dead than everyone else in the city. So, and it says Chapu looked sick. And Wax thinks, damn, I was sure that last part was comforting. Just, okay.
Wax, I'm sure there's not much you can actually say to this guy at this point that's going to make him feel better. He's either crazy or there's this demon monster that's going to set him free, whatever that means. Like, it's not good any way you look at it.
No, especially when you're like, yeah, I think I might want to kill everyone in the city. But so it's not personal, at least. So you can be happy about that.
Yeah, not specifically targeting you, but targeting everybody.
Oh, gosh.
It's like, yeah, well, you know what? If a T-Rex bites me in half, it might not specifically want to eat me, but it did anyway. So
It wanted to eat you. Don't lie.
Yeah. But
So
not me
then-
specifically. It was just like
Oh, yeah.
whoever.
It's just hungry. You happen to be there.
Yeah.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, he looks tasty enough.
So then we get some more broadsheet pages. I like the big ad for A Hero for All Ages, where you got Vin and Ellen, and there's like a new opera about it. A
Yeah.
love to span eternity.
Dummy that I am, like, before going to the next page on my Kindle app, I like just read the tiny newsprint and it took a while. And then I went to the next page and I was like, oh, it's all right here in regular sized letters. Okay, well.
I also like the political cartoon where the Lion of Ellendale is spanking New Saran and says it's bedtime without supper too.
But why?
I feel like we don't get a lot of information here, but this is kind of a peek into maybe some of the politics within the Rim. Because if you look at the map, New Saran is way out there. It's like on the edge. And so this is Ellendale is in some way expressing authority over this other city.
I mean, that's, you know, it's basically Miles' whole thing. It's like, you know, the rich folk in Ellendale, they take everything and leave us with shit and tell us we can't do good stuff and blah, 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 blah.
You're not wrong.
Did Miles have a side gig as like a cartoonist? They're just reusing some of his stuff.
And then we get the nuisance of negligent coin shots where this person is like, I've had to replace 3 lampposts and a gate because coin shots keep fucking up my shit.
Yeah, I'm tired of it.
Let's take back our dignity.
I'm mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take it anymore.
I just love
We're
that
not gonna take it.
anytime something is slightly bad, like these people are like, this is like going back to the world of Ash all over again. We don't have to take this.
Yeah, it's like you guys have no
I have
idea what
no
you're talking
idea
about.
what the-
Yeah, there were volcanoes popping up out of the ground everywhere. But you're right, this is just
Yeah.
as bad.
I mean,
Like,
I see what you
having
guys
to
are
replace
saying.
That is terrible.
I see what you guys are saying, and I don't disagree with you. But people do that in like the real world as well. Every time something goes wrong, it's like, oh, going back to the bloody dark ages.
You're not wrong. Then we get a story about visitors from another world. This lady
Yeah, that one
runs
got my
into
attention.
yeah.
Yeah.
She's out in the wilderness and she runs into a figure hunched by a pool, piercing eyes and a face like some otherworldly beast. I hadn't the courage to engage this visitor. So, there's a pool and there's someone who may be from another world.
It's just,
Maybe there's someone else we know in another world where there was some kind of mystical pool.
Right?
Elantris. Excuse me.
I was gonna say it's like
You should get that checked.
it's like one of those death monsters from Sixth of the Dusk.
A bunch of them do live right next to that pool.
It's like it tripped, fell into the pool, and somehow managed to wind up here.
She'd probably be dead though.
Yeah, I mean it's either that or it's Hoyd wearing a fancy mask. So
And then we get
It's the
another.
Chandra impersonating Void without bones.
ooh, deep.
The Conjurer's like, I like this guy. I want to be him.
And Hoyd's like, you have no idea what you signed up for.
And then we get another bit of Gentleman Jack's story, the sinister soiree, where he's in New Saran and confronting this gunman whose mustache is waxed straight horizontal to a perfect point. My favorite part is, you'll recall in the last episode, A Sport of Spirits, where I'd been forced to flare most of my tin to counteract the effects of winning a gentlemanly impromptu wine sipping contest earlier in the evening. An impromptu wine sipping contest. Oh, Jack. What a guy.
Yeah, that shit happens to me all the time. Somebody's like, oh, dude, we're about to do this wine tasting. I'm like, I'm in.
This reminds me of there's a bit in South Park where Stan is calling out his dad for being an alcoholic, and the dad's like, I am not an alcoholic. It's like, Dad, you're having a wine right now. I'm not having a wine. I'm having 6. It's called a tasting, and it's classy.
Classic Stan. Or what's his dad's name? Steve? Randy, thank you.
Randy.
I was just doing a crossword puzzle the other day where one of the questions was like what Stan's mom's name is, and I kept being like, Shelly? No, Shelly's his sister, but that was the only thing occurring. It took me forever to get Sharon.
Yeah.
Random South Park divergence. So back to Wax. He's hanging out outside the governor's mansion now, kind of just looking at shit.
Oh my God! You killed a Pathian, you bastard!
And he does consider sending someone for Lord Harms, which Joe was concerned about earlier, about, Lord Harms just being left there. And so he thinks about it, and then he's like, nah, I'll leave him there.
I still was like, wait. Why?
Better he stay on his rooftop.
Yeah, does he even have any food? Like, what are you doing, man?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to be right. It's going to be the end of the book, and it's like, fuck, we forgot him.
He can go up there and be like, oh my God. He's barely alive. He's like, thank God, has the danger passed? Yeah, like 3 weeks ago. Sorry about that.
He's eaten half his shoe.
Yeah. I thought I was going to have to boil another shoe. Where'd you get a pot of water? It's not important.
It's like, I'm very rich, so I had someone deliver it. It's fine.
Yeah.
He had someone deliver all that, but not any food.
Not any food.
Yeah. Also, where'd you get that gun? I hid it in my buttocks.
I saw it in a movie with a watch.
Yeah. I had hit this uncomfortable hunk of metal up my ass.
Oh, no, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. We're going to get into a Christopher Walken impression off, and those never end.
You got a good one, Dak? Let's hear it, buddy.
You really want to take that gun? I don't think so. No.
You ever see that movie Nick of Time where he's the bad guy and Johnny Depp is like the good guy?
Oh, God, I haven't seen that in fucking decades.
Yeah, I know. It's been a really long time. It's an odd movie. Yeah.
Weird.
He's a decent bad guy, though. Okay. So Wax is hopping around buildings outside the governor's mansion, and that's Bleeder pops into his head like, oh, there you are. And then Bleeder starts talking about, like, hey, did you know? Basically, she's trying to explain white blood cells and shit to him. It's like, hey, did you know that you have these tiny things inside you? Even surgeons don't know about them. That's how small they are. And they just, like, fight stuff when it gets in there. And Wax is just like, okay, where are you? Close, watching, you and the governor. I will need to kill him, And so Wax starts walking because he knows Bleeder's close enough to hear him. But if Bleeder wants to stay close enough to hear him, Bleeder will have to move, and he will spot her.
So, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think of what we knew from Hemalurgy in the previous books, and the fact that Ruin could talk to people. And I know Ruin's like sort of an ethereal kind of guy, so maybe this doesn't apply to him. But it's like, what's the distance rule on this?
It's a really good question because, yeah, like Ruin was basically everywhere at once, right? So he could hear you and speak to you, and it wasn't an issue because he was, like you say, ethereal. But with Bleeder, who knows?
Yeah, Bleeder's tangible, so I don't know. Yeah, like this is just like scratching like that itch in the back of my head. It's like I need to figure this out, and I don't know how. I don't have enough information to solve this puzzle.
We need to science this. It's like, Bleeder, you stand there. I'm gonna walk, and you keep talking, and I'll see when I can't hear you anymore.
And then Bleeder kills everyone.
Right. And so Bleeder says
we're in a world where they eat metal.
Yep.
For like, magical powers, and we're like, I don't buy
it. No, I buy all that stuff. Fine. Like the rules of that were already established. Like that was established books ago.
Yeah. I don't know. I just kind of accept that. Yeah. Okay. She's obviously close enough, and therefore Wax goes, well, she's obviously close enough. She must be around here somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fair enough.
Jamie, don't try to fit us in and conform us to your world.
I know. I just suck the fun out of everything. I know this about me.
Oh, she was amused by that.
Yeah.
Bleeder is telling him that she's going to set everyone free. I'm going to take this people and I'll open their eyes. And there's one interesting point to me where Bleeder says, he's just another pawn. And Wax says, I don't know that. And Bleeder says, I wasn't talking to you that time, Waxillium. So that's kind of, I wonder what that's about.
I mean, we know she has associates in some sense, because there was, like, we already talked, like, there was another point earlier when it's like, oh, there were two people here, not just one. So, either that, she's just talking to a victim as she kills them. So,
I thought she might have been talking to Harmony.
Could be.
Yeah, that's where my thoughts went too.
Me also.
Well, hang on. If she's talking to Harmony, couldn't Harmony then find her?
Maybe. That's a good question, actually, yeah. But that is when he spots her on the second floor. His technique of trying to ferret her out works. And as soon as he picks her out, she's like, oh, you're good. Ever the detective. And he goes, not really. I mean, in the roughs, you basically just use guns for stuff. And she's like, oh, well, that's a fun lie. Do you tell that at parties to youths who've read too many stories about the roughs? They don't like hearing about interrogating family members of a man gone bad or tracking down gunsmiths to see who fixed an outlaw's rifle. And he's like, how do you know about that stuff? I do my homework. It's a conjure thing, which I assume Meilon explained. So we also have found out that she knows that Meilon is involved in the hunt for her and is working with Wax. So she's been keeping tabs. And then Bleeder whispers audibly, have you asked him? Harmony, have you asked him why he didn't save Lessie? A whisper at the right time, telling you not to split up. A warning in the back of your mind, telling you not to go down that tunnel. You could have saved her so easily. He could have just snapped his fingers and made Bloody Tan drop dead on the spot, but he didn't. Have you asked why? And Wax does not like this area of inquiry. He's like, you don't get to talk about her. Yeah, no joke. And Bleeder's like, what? Maybe he wanted her to die. And that's when Wax starts shooting. Not really to hit her, but just because he's got to do something.
Yeah. He's pretty upset, understandably.
Yeah. And that's when Bleeder makes her move at super speed, going for the governor. And by the time Wax gets down there, there's already a bunch of people down. And Bleeder's thinking at him like, really? Still using a gun? You can't kill me with that.
It's although like, not the first time I've used a gun on someone that couldn't be killed by it. Doesn't stop me trying.
You're not wrong.
Somewhere Miles just going, oh God, not this shit again.
And I mean, it's not like using the gun was completely useless. Like, definitely slows it down at points.
Yeah. He manages to like break an ankle bone, so that's even if you that's not gonna hurt you long term. That you can't help you at being fast.
Exactly.
But Bleeder runs into the middle of a bunch of people who are trying to shoot at Bleeder and end up hitting each other more so than.
Ugh. So frustrating.
But that's when we get the moment where, as she's moving fast, all of a sudden he's moving fast too, because Wayne is one of the fallen bodies. It's all a trick, which it never occurred to me before seeing this that would help with your super speedy nemesis here if Wayne's speed bubble like equals it out, which is like, oh hey, that's that's really clever actually.
That was great.
Of course, it's still hard to do anything to her because, he's going to shoot at her and the speed bubble deflects the bullets. So, but his solution to that is I'm just going to shoot a shit ton of bullets and probably some of them will hit. So it's all good.
There's a line from that terrible League of Extraordinary Gentlemen movie that's always stuck with me. So Sean Connery's giving Tom Sawyer a bunch of shit and just says like, oh, very American of you. Fire enough bullets and hope to hit the target.
Yep.
That was going through my head here.
And then while she's distracted by all those bullets, he tries to get that needle into her. And it just barely misses because it's also deflected by the speed bubble. And then she goes into the room where the governor is. Wax hears a gunshot. And when he gets in there, Drim, the governor's chief bodyguard, is bleeding from the neck. And the governor's sitting there trying to stop the blood.
Oh no, Drim, our favorite guy.
And the governor's like, help.
I do like that though, when characters who have been, not not bad guys, but like, unpleasant people to the protagonist. Like they still go out in a blaze of glory saving someone else selflessly. I'm just like, that's cool. You got your little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, he was a bit shit, but he wasn't bad,
Yeah. He just didn't like Wax, and look, fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, the bodyguard jumped in front of a bullet and took a bullet for the governor. So yeah, that's some good bodyguard.
Yep.
And so Drim's gone, Wayne says, and then Wax sends Wayne up to help out with some other casualties. And Wax exchanges the secret passcodes with the governor so he can confirm that this is actually him. This isn't like Bleeder didn't come in here, kill the governor, eat him, and change into him that fast. And so apparently she came in here, took a shot, and then left. And he's like, why? Like, she could have easily finished me off. And Wax thinks she's only had ferrochemical powers for a couple of weeks, and you have to save up speed to use speed. And so it takes a while to save up, She's used a lot so far this book. And he thinks to himself, also, maybe she just wanted to scare the governor. I don't know. And he's trying to get the governor to leave again, and the governor's like, no, have you seen what's going on out there? I'm going to have to talk to these people.
Which, again, I'm just like, all right. It's not the smart play, but I don't know. I feel like, especially after what's just happened, it's like showing a bit of backbone. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, I need to address this. I can't just run and hide.
Even Wax is like, I got to respect the guy's grit.
Yep.
And then Wax goes down the tunnel that Bleeder disappeared down, finds a red cloak, because we didn't mention it, but she was wearing like Marksman's outfit from earlier in the book. And then she finds a crude picture of a man drawn with a fingernail in the wood, and then in blood, little eyes, and some words also scrawled in blood. I rip out his tongue to stop the lies. I stab out his eyes to hide from his gaze. You will be free. That's not creepy or anything.
No, not at all.
And then we get Wayne's point of view, where he goes to the fancy washroom, and he has this whole internal monologue about how rich people like make up these special words for stuff like washroom, instead of just calling it the crapper, because that's how they ferret out poor people. When someone calls it the crapper, they know it was a person they need to impress. Yes, it's very Wayne. Got to figure out who to oppress. It's very important. And he sees the initials or name embroidered on the towels, and he's like, does he really think is he that worried someone's going to steal them? Jeez. And then Wayne does take one, but he trades for some mints that he'd taken from the bar earlier, so it's fine.
Yeah, even though I took these from your house, these things were free, so that I can trade them for whatever I want.
We learned that the Terrace language has 7 words for iron, which is kind of interesting, although I don't know exactly why. And in the meantime, Wax has given someone a package for Renette and says, deliver it quickly, pound on the door, wake her up if you have to. Don't get scared if she cusses at you or threatens to shoot you. She's not going to do that. Stay there until she reads what I wrote. Understood? Okay. And so Wayne's like, Renette? And Wax says, yeah, I thought of something that might help. And Wayne's like, I could have gone. And she's like, no, she would shoot. Only because she likes me. Wayne, she doesn't actually like you. You always say.
That's the problem. He doesn't.
Yeah, no, he doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, he's built up this thing in his head where he's like, no, you just don't understand, Wax. She keeps shooting me to keep me alive, to keep me on my toes, because she knows about my dangerous life that I lead, and she wants to make sure I stick around.
Awkward.
I also like when he explains the poem that he found to Wayne. Wayne's response is, no, I'm as for dismemberment as the next fellow. But that's a mite violent for this time of day.
Yeah, I mean, dismemberment's all well and good, but at least take a guy out to dinner first, buy him a cup of coffee, and then dismember him.
Yeah, like the dismemberment's a lunchtime thing, and we're into dessert now. Like, come on.
And they theorize that maybe she was Marksman all along, which is an interesting possibility. I don't know that it makes a big difference, but. And Wax says that he's kind of turned the common folk against him by taking down Marksman. And Wayne goes, they didn't actually like you very much in the first place. Well, Wax is like, what are you talking about? I'm a hero from the Roughs. And Wayne's like, dude, you're a cop and a house lord, and you can fly. This is not weathering. You can't convince a fellow you're on his side by slapping him in jail overnight and playing cards with him until he sees you as a regular chap. And then
Did he do that?
I assume probably a lot. I mean, you know. And he says,
I'm amazed that worked.
right?
Even out in the lawless places.
He says, you're right, of course. And Wayne says, usually am. And he says, except that time on Leslie's birthday. You always have to bring that up, don't you? It was an honest mistake. You put dynamite in the oven, Wayne. Gotta hide a gift where nobody will look for it. All right. I don't want to know exactly how that ended, but not well is what I'm getting from this.
I think we can assume that after that, whoever's house this was, that they had to move.
And then Wayne is back to taking all the little party foods from the trays of the people walking by.
I love how that was like made out to be this big dramatic, oh my God, something's happening. They've swung into action. Oh no, it's just Wayne's found the food.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all it was.
Candied bacon wrapped around a walnut. And Wax says, how is it? He
Sounds
goes,
not good.
it tastes like cotton candy made of baby. Okay.
Ew.
Yeah, no. And so we also find out that Meilon is going to be helping out, disguised as one of the guards who got shot. The guard died, and Meilon has taken the body, and they're just going to pretend that she got shot in the arm. So hopefully next time Bleeder will be so busy looking out for Wayne that she will miss Meilon. And I like that Meilon's complaint is, I hate being short, and also this lady tasted bad. And she's like, look, hey, it's either the worms or me, kids. Don't you think she'd be happy to go out all at once?
No. Hang on. Like, she's just going on about how an aged body is the best thing ever. And both Wax and Wayne are uncomfortable with this. And it's like, Wayne, you literally, earlier on this same page, made a joke about something tasting like baby.
It's true.
Like, no, you don't get to be squeamish about this after that.
And then there's a whole talk about how hair is the really annoying part. You got to get all the hair just where it goes, and it's super bothersome.
Hey, man, I've been there.
And she says that Palm is older and very practiced, so maybe not as good as Tensoon, but she'll be way faster than me.
Sure.
And Wayne's response is, isn't that tough? Like, I once had to eat 20 sausages for a bet. Spent an hour on the ground moaning like a fella. Yeah, anyway.
That was my favorite line. You skipped right past it. He's talking about stuff getting out of his...
Right. Trying to force a mango through his delicate donut.
If
his
you catch
delicate
my
donut.
meaning.
Yeah, basically he had a giant poop.
Yeah. Anyway, no,
Delicate donut. Great band name.
He
Yeah.
didn't even have a giant poop. He says he was on the ground moaning like someone who was having it.
Right.
Like, it's so unnecessary.
Yeah.
And
Giant sausage poop. I get it. It's a
I
joke.
like her response is, "You're cute," and he goes, "I'm taken."
Sorry, ladies.
Sorry.
I'm taken.
And she goes, "Actually, that's not the problem. Like, we can expel excess, which makes doing transformation near a drain like in here convenient." Which, okay, that's gross.
Yeah, that is gross. I can expel whatever I need to, you know? It's fine.
Like, what's that dripping noise? Nothing.
Oh.
Nothing.
And she says, "Fortunately, for a quick change like this, I can ignore the hair under the clothing." And Wayne's like, "So we maybe could tell if someone was a Khandra by..." And she goes, "Seeing if they had leg or arm hair, that might work, but only if they had to go fast." And Wayne's like, "Arm hair, right?"
Yeah.
I was thinking of arm hair.
Now, Wayne, I thought you were
But,
taken.
okay.
Oh gosh.
Keeping Wayne's comments aside, though, especially if it's cold and winter, you'd be like looking at that woman's legs going, "Have you shaved? You shaved in winter." Okay, there's some merit to this idea.
Got her, guys. Found her.
I feel like Wayne's are more like I don't think any of the Sanderson books we've read so far have had comments quite like Wayne's. Is what I'm going.
Oh, no.
No.
And they
Wayne
never
is one of
will
a kind.
again.
Oh gosh. I also like he shows her what he found, the glowy stuff, but it's not glowing because it's not dark. He's like, "Hey, have you ever seen this?" And she's like, "I don't have a lot to go on here, Chief, but I'd say it's an empty glass vial." But no, it turns out that this is a bioluminescent fungus only grows in the Kandra homeland. And Wax is like, oh, okay, so we'd expect her to go there. And Malon's like, no, we don't hang out there anymore. We have homes. If we want to meet up with others, we catch them at the pub. The fact that she was there wearing the body of someone she killed, that's nauseating. And so Harmony gives Wax permission to go into the Kandra homeland.
I'd like to buy that good-looking blob a drink.
Just don't break anything, lawman.
It's acid, by the way, that I'm buying. 'Cause I'm an assassin.
And the footman comes up and says, Lord Ladrian, your coach has arrived. And Wayne's like, what the fuck was he doing with the coach? He flies everywhere. And Wax looks at the card and he's like, okay, let's do this. And Wayne picks up on what's happening because Wax says there's only one person in town who might have an inkling what Bleeder's up to. And Malon's like, what are we talking about? Wax is like, have you ever heard of The Set? Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum.
And so here's where we get the thing. Based on the book that he stole from his uncle last time, the date book or appointment book or whatever, he found a safe deposit box of his uncle's and watched it for several weeks before he found a letter inside suggesting that he try something else. And since then, he's kind of exchanged letters through this Dropbox with his uncle. And his uncle's actually very, cordial. It's like, nephew, you can't imagine my joy upon receiving your note. And with a promise to not arrest me. So quaint. I came immediately. I feel like we've been too distant lately. And Wax is like, you tried to have me killed. And Edward's like, and you did the same thing. So, whatever.
Did he?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I'm like, I don't know that I remember this, but okay. And Wax is kind of rude. And he's like, dude, can't we just be pleasant? And Edward's like, man, this is a rough night outside. I wonder if this is anything like that night so long ago. The night when the Survivor's Gambit played out. I like that that's the name of it. That's a cool name for it.
Yep.
And Wax is like, the world is really different than it was back then. Like, this is not Lord Ruler times. And Edward's like, yeah, maybe, but human emotions are the same. So no matter how nice the box is, if you put a man inside it, he will fight. And Wax is like, and you're on the side of the common man, really? He's like, well, no, hardly. I want power, wealth, influence, just like the Survivor's crew, actually. And they're arguing. He's like, they were heroes. And his uncle's like, they were thieves, actually. Which, he's not wrong.
True.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the original trilogy, in the second book, they say several times, like, why are we doing this? This isn't us. Like, we were a bunch of thieves and con artists, and now we're having to run this country. Like, why are we here? Kelsey, why did you do this to us?
And Edward makes one interesting point where he's like, you ever wonder if you would have gotten along with them back then? A bunch of miscreants and lawbreakers? Would you have trussed up the Ascendant Warrior and tossed her in a cell?
A guy did that one time.
That did happen, yeah.
Mm.
And Edward then is like, one wonders why our house is considered a laughing stock these days. I'm told they invite you to parties just to see you strut. And so he's like, okay, look, the reason I asked you here is because I think we have a common enemy, Uncle. Like, what do you know about what is going on here? I'm certain the set has been watching. You tried to kill me earlier. Tell me that was just a strike of opportunity. Tell me you're not working with her because she wants everything to burn. And Edward actually admits that Wax's pursuit of them has caused them some issues. Half the city's criminal elements are too frightened to work with the set for fear that you'll show up on their doorstep and shoot their mothers.
You got more chance of winning the Powerball than running into him. Nah, man, I don't like tonight. Yet again,
Wax signal up into the sky.
I was about to say, yet again, Wax is Batman.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, the song works.
It's just shining up a signal. It's just a candle dripping.
And his uncle's like,
no, okay.
I'm one of the conservatives in the set. I'm pushing back against violence, but the more you attack us, the stronger the other voices get. And he's like, oh shit, you are working with her. And he's like, more like riding the storm. Basically, but in the end of it, he's like, look, I'm not going to help you. I can't help you here. And Wax is like, you're just going to watch everything burn? And his response is, ashes are excellent fertilizer.
Unless they get smothered in ashes. Sounds familiar.
World of Ash.
Yep. Everyone complaining, oh, we're going back to the world of Ash. Well, maybe.
World of Ash. That should be my nephew's band name.
And then he brings up his sister again, and his uncle's like, basically, I'm going to keep your sister because I may have to use her against you at some point. So Also, while I have her, you can't kill me, or you'll never find her. And Wax ends it by being like, "Look, I'm gonna deal with this conjurer, but I'm not gonna forget you, Uncle." And he's like, "One day, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna come for you." And Edward's like, "I'm looking forward to it. If it doesn't happen before next summer, then you should join me for Merryweather dinner. We'll have a stuffed pig in your honor." I like just how how well mannered he is, and he really stays pretty cordial this whole conversation, despite the fact that he's a huge asshole, and especially in the flashback that we had earlier this book. It's like this guy's kind of despicable, but I like him here. He's fun. Well, that's the end of our chapters. Let us move into predicaments. So we've had a couple little reveals, not a whole lot of information coming out, but we have 3 episodes left in this book. So what do you guys think is going to happen?
Yeah, gosh, I don't know. I feel like there's so much that has to be resolved before we get to the end, and 3 episodes is not a lot of time to do it. I think, okay, what I'm hoping for is that we actually see TenSoon in the homeland. Maybe he's still chilling out down there.
Oh, that would be a good place for him to show up, right? If he was actually going to show up.
Yeah,
What's this dog
maybe.
doing here?
Yeah, I mean, you never know. Maybe TenSoon is someone's pet now. Just randomly show up. It's like, actually, your dog didn't die. Here's a good bit of news. Yeah,
Shapu's dog.
Yeah, possibly. Who knows? But yeah, I'm still really hoping that we do actually see TenSoon in this book. But we'll see how that goes. I don't know. I just don't feel like we've got enough pieces of the puzzle to figure out what's going to go on. I think we've spoken before about we've still got all these missing women from the first book that we haven't resolved that yet. I don't know that we're going to figure that out in this book. I'm hoping that's not something that's just left dangling for the end of time. Surely we figure out where they are. But it just doesn't feel like it fits here very well. Although now that we've had Edwin in there, maybe it'll come up. Not sure. Bleeder and the governor. Oh, okay, yep. So the governor. I think he's kind of like, I need to stand up and get sort of the people on board with whatever he wants to do. And then Aradel wants him to shut down the city. And I feel like we're going to have some conflict there. Maybe the governor's going to do what he wants to do, and that's going to cause even more problems. We've definitely got this city riot coming up, I think, with a sense of urgency. We'll probably see that play out pretty quickly now, which will cause some problems. But I don't really have much more than that. Really, I still feel like this story could go anywhere at this point.
That's an interesting point that I hadn't actually considered, is that, yeah, Aradel's asking for martial law to clear out the pubs and kind of quiet things down, and the governor's like, I want to talk to the people. So yeah, there may be a conflict there.
Yeah, and I just don't see that martial law would go down very well. And I feel like they're already stretched with resources. Even if they did declare martial law, I don't think it would be effective.
Yeah, maybe not. That's a good. Who knows how many cops they have total?
Okay, so not long to go. I keep coming back to the drawing, the little sketch of dismemberment that Bleeder left behind, and it really makes me think, like, I think I should need to go back to what my initial thought was. Something has snapped inside her, and she is, like, rebelling against Harmony and, like, the people that he has created. Like, this could be like a Dogma thing, where she's like, oh, why the hell did the humans get all the good stuff, and, like, we're held as agents for them? Like, why can't the Kandra inherit the Earth? So maybe that's what she's trying to bring about, just to spit in Harmony's face a bit. She wants the human society to tear itself apart, but just so that, she can laugh at Harmony and say, this is what your, precious humans have done. The whole bit about escaping from his gaze is like, she's already done that by pulling out one of his spikes. So she ripped out his tongue, which is what he uses to communicate with people. It's ripped out the spike. That's the tongue that he uses to talk to everyone. So I think that's Bleeder's end goal. I don't there's more books in this series, so I'm fairly certain she doesn't accomplish it. But I think that's her goal and her end game. So don't know how we're gonna resolve that whole issue with her, but I feel like she will get hit with this syringe full of goop that makes them melt. But I think someone else is going to administer it Like, it's not going to be any of our main characters. I feel like right at the end, someone, it might be Aradel, could be Tensoon, comes in and does the heroic sacrifice, and maybe if it's Aradel, he dies getting the syringe into Bleeder, but I think that's how she's going to go out.
Okay. Yeah, it does feel very Chekhov's gun, right? Like, if we don't see Khandra getting hit with this thing, then what was the point of all of that we've had with it so far?
Yeah, but it's like going to be this despair of like, no, like we're all beaten and we couldn't get it into her, and now she's going to kill us all. And then kind of like how like last book with Marasai, it's like no one was paying any attention to her, and she was the key to undoing Miles. It's going to be some other character who no one's paying attention to at this point. And like, yeah, part of me, I think I really want it to be Aradel. I don't know if it will be, but it'd be nice to see him just like come in and like actually let the police win this one. Sure.
So are you still sticking to your you think Aradel's going to die prediction as part of that?
Maybe.
Okay.
Like he gets close enough, jams in her, she turns around and she snaps his neck or something. But as she does that, she just deblobs.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it makes sense.
Interesting. I'm gonna stick with my overall themes for my predicaments so far. That being, I think that Edwin is actually Wax's dad. Whether or not we find that out in this book or not, I don't know. And then also, I do think that Bleeder is going to end up being the Khandra that was Lessie, and maybe Lessie's even her like true body or one that she picked. I don't know. That'd be interesting if it was. But anyway, and I do think we're going to go to the homeland. I do think that we're going to see Tensoon, hopefully, because why on Harmony's planet would they keep mentioning Tensoon and then Tensoon not show up? That'd be really annoying.
That would.
Yeah, he's really being brought up a lot, isn't he?
Yes, he's been brought up several times, and I'm kind of like over it. Like, okay, either deliver Tensoon to me, or stop talking about him.
Bring Tensoon
or get off the pot.
Yeah, bring him to me. And so, Tensoon's gonna show up, whether in dog form or not. It'd actually be funnier to me if he just like was some random guy, and then he's like, psst, hey, I'm Tensoon. What's going on? And his like true bones were dog bones, but he just like put like human stuff over the bones, like the true body or whatever that he has.
Yeah.
And it'd be cool just to see, like, to have a display of how quick he is at changing bodies, since he's of the he's the third generation, right?
Yep, third generation.
So it'd be cool to see how quick he can do that. I do think that Bleeder is going to get stabbed. I think maybe that's what Wax sent to Renette, is like a plan of some kind of projectile where they can administer the syringe.
Oh, that would kind of be up Renette's alley, right?
Yeah, so I think that's perhaps what he submitted to the messenger to give to Renette. It's like, hey, I need a way to administer the syringe to somebody who can, move super fast. So that'll be cool. Or maybe he just in general, which would be a really cool idea. Maybe in general he's coming up with a plan to have Renette create projectiles that he can shoot out of speed bubbles and will go straight out of the speed bubbles. That would also be pretty sweet.
That would be sweet, but like, how she has to test this, right?
Right.
She has to have Wayne on the firing range.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that'd be cool to see. Hopefully that's something like that is what's going on with Renette. And yeah, I kind of like Dak's idea that maybe Aradel or somebody random will be the one to kind of get the win here. I think it'd be nice to have the cops get the win, because it would kind of puts the spotlight more on them than on Wax, because I think the spotlight being on Wax, this book has kind of continuously shown like, hey, yeah, it's not a good idea for Wax to get all this attention with what he's doing, because most of it's ending up being negative. So he probably needs to take a step back. So my other theory and thought on that is possibly that things go so wrong at the end of this book that something really terrible happens, and then Wax is blamed for it, and he's like stripped of his constabulary status and stuff, and maybe even ostracized from the city. And then like that would be a really cool kind of, I feel like that's like a trope in detective stories where it's like the detective is ousted from all of their usual resources, and then in the third book, he's gonna kind of play it rough style under the radar and stuff because nobody wants to work with him anymore. So
taking away his license to kill.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, James Bond and Die Another Day, but better than that because that movie's not good. So, might be interesting to see.
I feel like that's slightly tougher in his case because he's like a house lord of a major wealthy house. But
sure,
not to say it couldn't happen. Yeah.
No, yeah, his house could totally collapse, especially if like the set wants that to happen.
Yeah.
While he's busy, messing around with doing all the law enforcement stuff, the set's putting money plans in motion to get him to make him bankrupt or something.
Yep.
Especially if he's pissed them off so much, like that sounds a good use of their resources.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. And that would be interesting because we know that Wax is like probably the one house lord that's like, if you take away all his money, he's not going to be that put out about it because he's been there.
I wonder if, like, now that you said all that, I'm just thinking like your prediction and mine like could go hand in hand. Like the end of the book, Aradel saves the day, and the cops get the win, but then like those disasters are then blamed on Wax, and let's say Reddy is Aradel's successor to the role, and he's very much not on Team Wax, so then like he just leads this campaign of anti-Waxness, and that's what gets him forced out. Like that could really work.
Yeah, I wasn't being that specific with it, but I did kind of like your theory. I was kind of jumping off of that to form what
I'm just spitballing here.
Yeah, no, that's good. I like that. It's fun. Then we got it, in the third book, we got a real hard-boiled detective who's just like, oh man, everybody hates me. It's like a male Jessica Jones. It's like, oh, I just caused trouble and I hurt everybody and I'm a piece of shit. And then, he comes out of it and he's stronger than ever, but then like in the third book he loses Wayne dies and you're like, no, Wayne, and then just all of it.
Could you imagine like if Wayne dies in the third book and then like the fourth one that comes out says Wax and it just has a big cross next to it, book 4.
Rough. Yeah, that would not be wow. Oof.
There was a
Wayne
comic
don't die,
series
buddy.
There's a comic series I read like back in the day, Cable and Deadpool, and then spoilers for a 15-year-old series, but like for the last 6 or so issues of the book, like they'd made it out Cable was dead, so all the title pages like said Cable and Deadpool, but Cable had a big red X through his name.
That's fun.
Harsh.
Yeah. Cable and Deadpool was fun because of just how weirdly they play off of each other.
I maintain that's like Deadpool has never been better than that series.
Which is why they put Cable in the second movie. I don't know that it worked as well in the movie as it does in the.
Well, I don't want to get into that.
I don't want to discuss that right now. Thank you.
Okay. Let's. We got some emails. Let's email it up.
Send it to us. Sanderlanch Gmail. Sanderlanchpodcast@gmail.com.
We have one that I almost heard last time that was lots of spoilers. I'm saving that one for the end of the book. So we have 2 others here.
Cool.
One is from Sasha.
Baron Cohen?
No.
Oh, okay.
I have email is nice.
Yes, very nice.
So Sasha says, I feel the overarching story of Shadows of Self is really good, but I have to agree with Joe and Dak that there's a lot of surprising narrative clumsiness. I found it really jarring when last week's reading opened with young Waxilium, age 12, looked from one coin to another, and then had the youthful Waxilium looked from one to another, literally 2 paragraphs later. And then there's...
I didn't even notice that.
No, I didn't pick up on that either. And then there's the Kandra spotting serum. That's what the stuff we were just talking about. I'm sure Brandon has some backstory in mind that makes sense, but he didn't include it, and the serum comes across as a plot contrivance. I mean, I can't figure out when this stuff would have been invented and why. If it was in Era 1, then the Kandra were either outdoing their contracts, and Tensum seems to be the only one to break his, or they were hanging out in the homeland. If it's during Harmony's reign, then Palm is the first person with the ability to hide from Harmony. He could just tell the other Kandra where a troublemaker was, assuming there were any serious problem Kandra before Palm. So it's just a small detail, but it's driving me crazy since I first read the book, I guess, like, why would you come up with this serum that's an interesting point.
Because Harmony's like Batman, man. You gotta have contingency plans when your super Justice League friends go crazy. Read Tower of Babel, okay?
Anyway, wasn't to the time of Sanderlanche withdrawal, Sasha. So no, I agree with you. It doesn't make, like, it does come off as just like, hey, here's some plot stuff. No explanation of why they would ever have needed that before. The next one is from Adam, and Adam has. I'll go through the whole thing, but he's bringing up something that we've already talked about several times. So I don't know how much we want to get into it, but he has some points here, and I will just. So he says, "Hello, Sanderlanche crew. After listening to the most recent episode in which you discuss Wayne's interactions with Steris, I want to write to share my thoughts on Wayne. Namely, that while he's a fun character and has some of the best comic relief moments in the series, he's kind of a despicable human being. That statement is pretty harsh, so let me explain. Wayne is narcissistic, misogynistic, narcissistic, misogynistic sociopath who doesn't seem to care about how other people might feel about his actions. He acts all charming and goofy and Wayne-y, but many of those traits are just him being an asshole while joking about it, and we, as readers, just accept it because, oh, that's just Wayne. And we're mostly seeing things from his or Wax, his enablers, perspective, but to other people, he's being a jerk. For instance, Wayne's kleptomania, which gets jokingly referred to him as trading for stuff. If the people don't consent, it's not trading Wayne, it's stealing. But he's able to rationalize it as acceptable, so he doesn't see how it could be actively harmful to the people he's doing it to. So to take an example of something you've already read, let's take a look at the scene where he breaks into the university to give money in person to the girl whose father he killed. On the surface, it seems noble and self-sacrificing even. He's going out of his way to right some of the wrongs he's caused. But if you look at it from another perspective, no one but Wayne wants him to be there. Wayne is performing the worst sort of self-flagellation where he makes himself feel bad so that he can feel better about what a good person he is, all while making everyone else involved uncomfortable or upset. The girl has specifically told Wayne she doesn't want to see him, yet Wayne explicitly disregards her wishes and breaks in to see her anyway, knowing that it will cause her distress. And he plays it like it's all a game, calling it a quest in his head and being drunk and a general nuisance. And Wayne's treatment of women is just appalling. Some of the things he says in the series to and about women are downright disgusting, and don't even get me started on how he acts around Renette, trying to woo her even though she's made it crystal clear she's not interested in him. All in all, I think that while Wayne is certainly a fun and interesting character, if you knew him in real life, you'd be pretty tired of his antics real quick. He's the type of friend that is really annoying and you secretly kind of hate and always groan internally when they show up because, oh God, what are they going to do now? I think my main problem with Wayne is that he doesn't seem to realize or care that his actions are having massive negative consequences on the people around him. All that being said, I think it's fascinating that Brandon has crafted a character in such a way as to have these tremendous flaws and still be likable to the readers. Sorry for the long rant. Had to get my feelings out. Do you guys have different opinions? I'd like to hear your thoughts.
I think there's some valid points in there. I hadn't really thought about it in that much detail, but I think there's something to it. Some of what he does is not a good person, but I still like to read the character. And I agree. He's been written well for a character that has some pretty despicable traits.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, when you break it down like that and you think about it, it's like, okay, yeah, some of that stuff is really messed up. And we talked about it a little bit last time when you weren't here, Jamie, but it was just like when you realize that he actually thinks that he and Renette are in a relationship and he's basically like a stalker who's constantly like getting in her space and coming on to her when she clearly is not interested. It's kind of messed up. And yet we still like to read the crazy shit that he does and says. He's got some despicable traits, but at the same time, he's got some genuinely good traits, I think. Like you couldn't just pigeonhole him as like, oh, this horrible person. Yeah. But there are still some things that he does really well and that he is a good friend to Wax. And yeah, nobody's perfect and Wayne's got a long way to go to being perfect, I think. But yeah, I still think he's a fun character on the whole.
Yeah, I think the assessment that he's fun to read, but if you knew him in real life, you would probably hate him is a valid point. I think that was a big thing that people would describe about Homer Simpson, which is entirely fair. It's like we love Homer watching his antics, but there are a lot of things about Homer that are pretty terrible. So I can see it's a similar sort of situation. Yeah, like I love Wayne's witty commentary. I love like his train of thoughts for some things, and then his trains of thoughts for some other things. I'm just like, no, not okay. And yeah, so yes, no, 100% see where this guy's coming from, and it's like I don't condone any of the really bad things he's doing, but you're right, it is kind of clever that Brandon has given a character that, you know, you look at him from one angle and he looks like just a really fun guy to hang out with, and then you take a step not even that far to the side, and it's like, god damn, this guy's got some real problems with what he does.
If you had a friend who every time they came over, like they took valuable things from you that you cared about and left like sand or a banana in their place or something, you probably wouldn't invite him over.
Would not be friends with that guy.
Oh man.
Yeah, I agree on the whole with what's been said. Some good points. I also, whenever I hear people talk negatively about a character, which I've talked negatively about characters, and so what I'm about to say, yeah, exactly. So what I'm about to say may be an unpopular opinion, but when I hear people talk negatively about characters, I also stop and think to myself, in this particular instance, what I mean, like Spook, he's just a whole thing. Wayne is also a whole thing, but at least he's funny, you know. Wayne has the thing where he's a fictional character, and so when you look at all his negative traits, since he's fictional, it's easy for me to just say, okay, let me look at the positive traits, and let me look at the negative traits, and let me just do a quick list. Do I like Wayne more than I dislike him? And does Wayne say things that I disagree with? Yeah, of course he does. But he's also not real. Does Wayne do a bunch of funny stuff that I think is hilarious? Yeah, of course he does, but he's also not real. So do I think what he's doing is right all the time? No. But do I have a problem with him as an individual? Also no, because he's not real. So that's one of those things, like, yeah, we could sit here and we could talk about how awful Wayne is. We could talk about how much we love him. But at the end of the day, he's a guy on a page. He's not a real human being that we've met. And if you ever have met a person like that is exactly like Wayne, that literally, like Data said, literally steals your stuff and puts a banana there, and then makes misogynistic jokes, and then treats people on the spectrum poorly, like, run away from that person, because that sounds like a crazy, insane thing that is not even human. So, you know, obviously, I feel like Wayne, as the comic relief of the story, he's comic relief, but then Brandon decided, well, he also needs to have like some realistic human characteristics. So let me give him these other things. Yeah. But really, like, I think the majority of his role is not to be deep. I think the majority of his role is comic relief, and so I feel like some of the deeper aspects of his character are not written super appropriately, which again, maybe it adds to a sort of realism, but at the same sense, Wayne is like a walking hyperbole. Like nobody like Wayne exists in real life. Like that doesn't happen, at least not that I've ever met or know of. So you could make a comparison to people that are sort of like him in maybe one or two aspects, but the truth of the matter is there is no one like Wayne, because Wayne is not real. So yeah, I mean, I like Wayne. Don't agree with everything Wayne says and does, obviously, but at the end of the day, he's a character. It's fine.
Yeah, and like we could like debate and pick apart these points for hours and hours and hours. Like I'm sure people already have, but wouldn't get any close to unpacking like a final verdict on, you know, is this someone to be liked or not? Because there's too complex to really delve into.
Sure. Yeah.
That, and honestly, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me if I should like Wayne.
Because he's on a page.
Yeah, he's on a page. Like, if I should like him or not, doesn't really matter. If you say there's something wrong with me liking him, well, that's your opinion, man. That's just like your opinion, man. I can like whoever I want. It's because that would be my opinion. So, you know, that's same thing.
Yep.
Second verse, same as the first, and all that.
It's funny because it slightly reminds me, when we were kids, we had a cousin who, whenever she came over, would steal our shit. So
yeah,
I'm just like,
wouldn't put a banana there in its place.
No.
Yeah, definitely did steal my stuff. I only ever got to play Croc on PlayStation the one time, because then it was gone.
So when you're talking about it, like, you wouldn't want to invite this person over, I'm like, no, I didn't.
No, we hated when she came over, because we were like, crap, something's gonna go missing.
Yeah. Good times.
Also,
okay,
like, Because sorry, I just want to say because you kept bringing up the banana, I'm just like, wait, that was Aradel's wife. Maybe
Yeah,
Aradel's wife didn't steal the cigar. That was Wayne the whole time.
The banana was Aradel's wife, but Wayne's left like apples, I think, before, so it's along the same lines. We got one new
Aradel's
review.
wife and she's just like Wayne.
Yeah, she's gonna be another Wayne. Aradel has to keep her at home so she doesn't steal too much shit. Oh, that'd be hilarious, actually. She's because he's like retired, or he was retired before he took this job. So I imagine he's like an older dude, and she's like an older lady who's just like going to the store and taking. Yeah, exactly.
She remarried.
Okay, no, we have one new review, so let's hit on that real quick. This one is from La Tech DMB Fan, and what they say is the only podcast I listen to. I've been following this podcast for about a year, and they're the only one I can listen to. Everyone is so extraordinarily entertaining, and the theories are so much fun. That's it.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, guy or girl, whichever.
Thank you.
You're a smoker. You smoker, you.
So yes, if you want to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Joe will jump you into the misting crew. Or you can go on back to Patreon and you'll get to be a fairing, or you can do both and be a twinborn, like several people now have gotten. So yeah,
and there's still a couple of, if you're crazy enough, there's still a couple of Shard of Ad and Alsoup spots.
And
I
so
believe that.
Speaking of that, my original announcement that we had the first content I was planning was for June, and that was going to be when the graphic novel, the new version of the graphic novel for White Sand came out. That has been delayed, so my plan for that is delayed. But we are still working on getting Joe feedback for his script, so that may still make it out.
Yeah, something I made, like a month ago, and nobody's given me notes. I just want to make it perfectly clear to all you lovely Patreon people. Joe is not the holdup on this project.
That's on me. I've had the notes and just haven't got around.
Oh,
to
it's not. It's not you, Dak.
It's not on
We're
you.
not waiting on you, buddy.
Me.
We're waiting on a guy who hosts a podcast who shall remain nameless, who has given me absolutely no feedback. Instead of I don't really get the jokes.
For next time, we are reading 2 chapters. That is 18 and 19. And after that, we're really gonna the final 2 episodes are like 4 chapters each, so you can tell that things have definitely started moving by the time we get to the episode after next.
Mm.
None of those 6-chapter speed ups or anything. This book.
Yeah, not quite that fast. Although the last section of 4 is actually pretty short. It may be the shortest section we've read this book, but it was just like, well, that's all that's left, so that's what we're gonna read for that episode. But yeah, so if you're following along, 2 chapters for next time, 18 and 19.
Does anyone actually read at the same speed as us? Like, I know a few people started doing that initially when they had a backlog of episodes to get through, but I think everyone who's caught up by now has just said, yeah, I can't wait. I'm keeping going. Yeah,
quite possibly. I don't know that I've seen anyone who's explicitly. Angela Prime is sometimes behind and sometimes ahead, just depending on how school was running. But other than that, I don't know that anyone has specifically told me recently that they're like reading along with us. But just in case, I throw it out there. Music by Miracle Sound. Did I say that? I forget if I said that. So yes. So if you'd like to send us an email, the address is thesanderlanch@gmail.com. Find us on Instagram and Patreon and Facebook. And I finally got that one file that I couldn't get for YouTube. I got it to work. So I'm about ready to upload all the Alloy of Law episodes. By the time that this episode of the podcast comes out, all of Alloy of Law should hopefully be on YouTube. So we'll be close to caught up. Not quite caught up, but pretty close. So yeah, find us on YouTube if you like. So thanks, everyone. 2 chapters for next time, and wuzzing to the time of next. Colo?
Check my head, I guess the joke's on me.